Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time to talk about Brawl Talk. We don't have Brawl Talk. Where's Brawl Talk? Okay guys, so the last 4 Brawl Talks happened almost all within 1 month of each other, and last time we even had a balance change in between 2 Brawl Talks. It has been almost 2 months since the last balance changes and over a month since the last Brawl Talk, and I'm releasing this video. It's been 6 weeks since we've had any news of any changes aside of like the release of new skins and new star powers, which we've obviously been having a lot of. Now there's a very good reason for all of this, and I'm going to do 3 things for this video, okay? So first of all, I'm going to clear up why that's happening. I'm also going to talk about when I think the update is going to be, as well as talk about what I think is going to be released in the next Brawl Stars update, and I'll probably sprinkle a little bit of like, you know, state of the game and throughout the video as well. So guys, what has Supercell been up to? Well, most of you probably know that Supercell takes a 30-day break in the middle of summer, and that includes almost all employees over at their Finland office, which is where Supercell's HQ is. This is actually required in the country of Finland for full-time employees, which personally I think that's pretty awesome, but the question is, like, when is that time up? Well, if you follow Frank on Twitter, you may have noticed him changing his profile hashtag from hashtag extreme vacation near the beginning of last month to now him switching it back to hashtag back to work just a few days ago. So since Frank is the team lead for Brawl Stars, that tells me that the majority of the Brawl Stars team is, maybe except for like a few employees that were kind of like ghost crewing it up while everybody was gone, most likely people are back. The last update is, you know, that's basically when everybody left. They're probably back just recently, like maybe last week. So yeah, I do not think that an update with new content is going to be happening in the next couple of weeks, but I do have a pretty solid idea of when I think the next update will happen. But first, let's talk about balance changes. Now, like I said, it's almost been 2 months since we've had any balance changes in the game, and the game really needs some rebalancing very soon. Like, really badly. It's funny because typically after a long period of time without balance changes, the meta becomes incredibly stale and repetitive. And for some maps and modes, that has absolutely happened. But because of the release of the new star powers every single week without any balancing, some brawlers like Shelly and her Band-Aid star power have become incredibly dominant and incredibly popular. I know some people might suggest for Supercell to actually wait until all of the star powers are released before they actually do a balance change, but there's some serious imbalance going on at max gameplay because of some star powers making certain brawlers way too strong, not to mention the fact that some of the new star powers completely outpower a lot of the new star powers by quite a lot. I don't think that Supercell has to wait very long in order for them to do balance changes. In fact, I would not be surprised if we saw them maybe even next week. I do not know all that goes into developing a game, but from my understanding, they basically just have to make some small tweaks on the server side without actually having to update the game in order to implement most types of balance changes. I don't think it's too bad to ask for balance changes happening in the next week or so. It, you know, obviously, like, Supercell needs to take the time to do what they need to do the best to their ability, but, you know, I'd really like some balance changes here. So then, with balance changes happening probably next week, according to my own prediction, when do I think the next update is going to be? Well, many of you have probably caught on to the fact that Brawl Stars has been releasing 3 new star powers every single week since the last update, and what you may not realize is that after this week, we have only 6 more brawlers to go, which means that in 2 weeks, all of the content that was programmed into the game with the most recent update will have been released. So if Supercell follows the pattern that they have all summer long, that will happen on August 21st, and I do not imagine that they'll release an update while there's still content ready to be released. So my guess is that the update will happen a week from then. I'm putting all of my marbles out there, guys. I'm saying that the update is likely to happen on August 28th. Now, this is just an estimate, so, you know, if I'm wrong, please don't throw rotten fruit at me. I'm terrified of rotten fruit. Okay guys, so next, what do I think is coming in the next update? Now, as far as changes to the game go, I don't think that we should expect anything huge. We got a decent amount of content in the last update with the rework of the trophy ladder system, the addition of star power, or star points, and new star powers for every single brawler in the game. That is exactly the kind of content I have been begging for, and it happened pretty quickly after the last update. So huge thank you to Supercell for being so awesome and doing such a fantastic update, but I think that it is fair that we give them a little bit more time to come out with like a substantial update with like actually new content, like something big. With that said, I do think that we'll get a lot of good things. So for starters, I absolutely think that we'll see some type of changes to the start point and the trophy progression system and ladder. I think making it easier to push brawlers past 500 trophies was a really decent move on Supercell's part. Personally, it made it a lot more fun for me to play simply because the matchmaking was so much easier as somebody who doesn't have the time to push my brawlers to the highest part of the ladder, you know. So that was good. I also think that the changes were really good for the majority of the players as well. It made it feel a little bit less grindy for most of us. However, there is one group of players that, well, didn't really like the changes a whole lot, and that is the competitive players who do have time to play a lot, but don't want to have to grind for hours upon hours upon hours to be at the top of the ladder. Honestly, that's kind of what the top of the ladder has become, and I mean absolutely no offense to anybody who has pushed to the top recently, but the number one factor for reaching the top has become much less about skill and much more about how much time you put into the game. Skill is obviously still a very important factor, but as long as you have solid teammates and you're a decent player, you can climb to that number one spot as long as you have more time to put into it than anybody else. This used to be kind of like the case, but with the recent changes, the issue has just gotten worse. Okay, now I don't actually think that this is a bad thing, other than the fact that there's no real endgame content. If we had actual substantial real endgame content, then, you know, this wouldn't be a big deal, but because this is the only endgame content we have and it's really not very fun at the moment, you know, that's an issue. Now, good news is, Supercell, they are already aware of this. In fact, Frank responded to this topic on Twitter by saying that the actual end game will likely be something other than grinding out at the top of the ladder. This shows that the team has specifically considered end game and likely has something else in mind for what they want that to be. I do think that Supercell needs to put out some end game content, but I don't actually think that they need to make that their focus right now. The star point system and all of the new star powers in the last update honestly should be enough to keep the dedicated end game players entertained for a while. And with that said, I do think that we will see some changes to the star point system. I don't know about you guys, but I think that there's not nearly enough ways to get the star points for the cost of the current skins in the game. Even with the changes to the trophy progression system making it easier for you to get star points, I have not seen a single golden mecha skin, and it most likely will not happen for another month or two for the most hardcore players. Personally, I'm not even motivated to try and get them because of how outrageously difficult it is to get one, or just how long it would take and how much I would have to grind every single day for weeks, months at a time. I think it's a simple fix for this, that they could just like add more ranks from 500 trophies to 800 trophies, where players could actually get like good bonus amounts of star points for reaching new trophy marks. For me, this would be a really great motivation to try and like get each brawler to 800 trophies one at a time until I've maximized star point rewards for each brawler. I don't know if this is something that Supercell's already planning on doing it, but Frank recently put out a tweet right here. This makes me think that this is something that we might actually have in the next update. We'll see what happens here. Okay, now I've already speculated in previous videos that new skins are something that Supercell is actually able to outsource to other companies that don't have like month-long vacations in the middle of summer. So, you know, it's not really guaranteed, but if that is the case, I would not be surprised to see a lot of skins being released in this next update. And hopefully, that will also include some cheaper 30 gem skins that the free-to-play players can enjoy. I've been asking for this. We want it. You guys have been asking for it. They wanted Supercell. Like, come on, let's give it to them. Hopefully as well, this will also include some Terra and Leon skins that we have been begging for. I also would not be surprised if the next update came with an El Primo, Pam, or Piper remodel, since they're still some of the only brawlers that really need some work done to their 3D models before we can actually see some skins from them, or at least some more skins in El Primo's case. So it's pretty obvious that the fixes to the last update and the skins will likely be coming this next update. We'll probably get a new brawler as well. I'm not even going to try and speculate on that because I totally missed the last one. Idiot! Kairos? Idiots. Also, I mentioned that Brawl Stars probably shouldn't be focusing too much on end game quite yet. We want like mid game right now is what I'm thinking of. So what could that be? Well, my guess is a new game mode. It has been a while since Siege was released, and I don't know about you guys, but I personally feel like since their last changes to the mode, it's become one of my favorites to play. I literally like will open up Brawl Stars because I need to like check something for a video, see that Siege is there, and I'm like, oh, I really want to play some Siege. And then hop into some Siege, you know? It's so much fun. Even when playing with randoms, where you're most likely to get bit in the butt due to poor team comms, the mode feels really good to me. I think that this is the best iteration of Siege that we've seen. I would like to know what you guys thought about that, think about that though, but regardless, this is an idea for a 5v5 mode that I personally think sounds like a blast to play. Basically, each team has 3 safes or towers or whatever that have less health than a regular safe. I know what you're thinking. Come on, Kairos, we already have 2 modes with safes. Think of something more original. I know, just hear me out here, guys. It doesn't have to be safes, it could be something else. You get the idea. Personally, I think that this sounds like a lot of fun. Basically, the main safe in the middle is invincible until the 2 safes on the left and right are taken out. Or it could be an Ike turret in the middle, and the only way you can get to the Ike turret or disable it is if you take out its 2 energy towers or something like that. Personally, I think that the way that the creator of this could be like changed a little bit, you know, to make it a little bit more fleshed out. But you guys get the idea. I have been suggesting a 5v5 mode for a long time, and I think that this mode, or maybe even a capture the flag mode like I talked about in another video, they both sound like a ton of fun, and I would love to know what you guys think. Okay, guys, so we have covered the major points for today's video topic, but I did want to briefly cover a few other important things that I do think they need to be addressed in the game. First off, guys, I know that most of you guys are probably not aware of this, but because of the changes in the trophy system, it has once again become very favorable to rig matchmaking in solo showdown, higher up in trophies, and because of this, the top of the ladder is full of organized teaming and showdown. I'm not talking about just like meeting some random guy and being like, hey, let's be friends. And then the other guy being like, okay. I don't have skill. No, I'm talking about organized teaming where you and a couple of friends take a brawler into showdown with 700 to 800 trophies around the same time, like trophy count. You enter into the queue at the same time, and almost every single time you get put into the same game, allowing you to team against everyone else without the risk of getting backstabbed because it's your buddies. You crush everybody and you secure victory every single time. It's completely unfair, and Supercell in the past has said that they do not approve of organized teaming. Now, all Supercell really needs to do to fix this is to decrease the amount of trophies that people win from solo showdown. So at least that high-end trophies, not like overall, but once you get to a certain point, you know, and then the issue should resolve it, because this wasn't an issue before the most recent balance or trophy changes. They could also make it so that you're less likely to match up against the same people after each match. 2 really easy fixes to implement, so I'm not really super concerned about this, but it's absolutely something that does need to be addressed. Another thing that should be pretty easy for Supercell to fix should be some way to guarantee that like new star powers would actually become available for purchase with gold in the shop once new star powers are released. As I am preparing for this video, it has been almost an entire week since Mortis's newest star power was released, and I still have not had his or Leon's second star powers show up in my shop purchasable with gold. It's not like I don't have enough gold. I have plenty of gold to buy it. Now, this is not the biggest thing that the game needs, but if Supercell does plan to add more star powers in the future, it would be a really nice quality of life change for them to add. And I would really love it if they actually started putting more star powers into the game. Personally, I think they need to continue putting out new star powers for every brawler, maybe have 4 to 5 of them, and then once they've reached that point, I would level a level 11 where you can unlock a second slot so you can equip 2 star powers. That sounds super fun. I would love that. But another quick quality of life change that they could add would be including star powers in battle logs so they could see which star powers each brawler had and stuff. Anyways, I'm really curious to know what you guys want in this next Brawl Stars update. Please drop a comment in the section below letting me know, and then also subscribe for future videos, because let's be honest, guys, you love Brawl Stars just as much as me. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, waiting the next update, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.